Hi, it's Ken Rolla with FreshAndAlive.com. Today I'm here to interview the lovely Debra Cornell, who I met through Dr. Stephen West, who is one of my favorite people in the world. He is an amazing healer and came to visit and brought Debra along with him, and both of them are amazing people, and I thought, you know, heck, we got to get these folks on camera and interview them. And so we'll get Stephen on this blog later. But right now I wanted to talk with Debra because she is a health coach and does various different things. But the thing that impressed me was that, you know, I'm 54 years old now, and I see a lot of people out there in their 30s and 40s teaching wellness and longevity. And it's like, how the heck do you know anything much about longevity if you ain't old? You know, it's like, I mean, you can fake it in your 30s and 40s easily. Yes. You can't fake it when you start hitting your 50s and 60s on up. And so I always tell people, you know, if you're going to be listening to health advice, listen to people who are older, who are living it, you know, because there's the proof in the pudding right there. You know, anybody can fake it. Anybody can talk. Talk is cheap. And as I'm fond of saying, you know, results are all that matter. And so this lady obviously is getting the results, and I wanted her to share with us her story and what she does, and information about her coaching and things, because quite honestly, I know a lot of people, and especially a lot of women, who are sick, unhealthy, unhappy, depressed, overweight, eating GMO food, they're toxic, and they've lost so much energy and are so depressed, they don't even care if they get healthy. They don't even care if they feel good again. They pretty much just want to die. I've met quite a few folks like that. You know, it's really sad, but there's a lot of people like that that are just hopeless and depressed and don't know a way out. And so I wanted to get Debra to talk specifically about what women can do in particular. I mean, everybody can do this, but in particular women, because she's been there and done that. So anyway, Debra, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, you know, what you do, what services you offer, and how you got started.
Thank you, Ken. That was a great introduction. And my name, of course, is Debra Cornell. I am a holistic health and wellness coach, and I work with people every single day with coaching practices. And I'm also a certified raw foods chef and instructor. That's kind of where I started. That was my roots, was with the raw foods movement. And also, I'm a certified personal trainer. So for me, it was when I began this journey, and it was started with the foods, because I knew that we had to change our diets, we have to change our lifestyle in order to make that happen. But as you begin your journey with it, what you begin to realize is that everything is body, mind, spirit. Right? Everything is connected. So it's body, mind, spirit. And for me, I wanted to know how it all worked, how it all went together. And so that's why I did the raw foods, worked with that. And then I went on with the health coaching and then with the personal training, because I really, really wanted to know how everything went together. And for me, when I was young, when I was a baby, actually, I was born with asthma. Not born with it, but at 6 weeks of age, became asthmatic. And my grandmother was taking care of me and my aunt, and I turned blue. I was just, you know, they had this little tiny baby, and like all of a sudden, the baby's not breathing, and so they rushed me to the hospital and diagnosed me with asthma. Well, nobody in my family had asthma. So it's like, well, where did that come from? So I don't know, but as a child growing up, I was very, very sickly. So in and out of the hospital, to the point where the nurses knew my name. Like, they knew me, you know, I go, here comes Debbie again, you know, for a little girl. And I was actually featured in the newspaper once because I was in the hospital so much, and the nurses had called them in. They did an article on me, you know, this little girl in the hospital again with asthma. I was just always in the hospital. That's where I lived, pretty much. And my mom used to have, you know, the shots in the freezer to where if I had an asthma attack that she could actually like bring life back into my body. So I died, I don't know how many times over. seriously, with not being able to breathe. And as a result, when you have asthma, it's actually an autoimmune disease. So along with that comes allergies and, eczema and you name it. And I had it. I was very sickly, very weakly. And I hated that. I always fought that. I always wanted to not be the sick kid, right? So in my mind, I was just fighting it all along the way. And that's why I feel like I have such a connection with the body, mind, spirit, because it's how we look at things. It's how we can get to the core of our belief system to overcome whatever is bothering us. So for me, I really, really wanted to be the normal kid. Didn't want to be focused on, because people get caught up in that. I'm sick, I have this disease, I have this illness. And why would you want that negative attention? For me, I wanted a positive attention. I wanted to be, a little bright, shining star without being sick. I didn't want that negative in my life. So as I got a little bit older and had a little bit more control over my own life. I remember even in elementary school one time, my mom used to send notes. So she can't run, she can't run track, or she can't do this, because I would have asthma attacks. I'd have to have my inhaler with me. But one day I just got so disgusted with it, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to run the laps. I'm going to go do it. And we were outside, our whole class, and I'm out there running. And I literally, because I was wheezing, the asthma kicked in. And it's definitely exercise induced. It makes it much worse. And I passed out. Wow. Just, and the coach didn't even know. I'm like passed out on the ground. They find me, try to revive me, and made this big scene. And I'm like, but I just pushed through it. Like I would always push through it. And in high school, I decided that I'm going to go out for the dance team. I'm going to go out for the color guards, and I'd never done that before in my life, never had any dance classes, nothing. Tried out for it, I got on the team, and we used to, of course, we're in Florida, and it was in Tampa at the time, in Brandon, and you have to work hard for that. We were out there with the football team, we were out there practicing with the band every single day after school, 3 o'clock in Florida. Here we are right now, it's mid-July, and it's 105 heat index, which is very typical for Florida. So we'd be out there practicing, running the track, running the bleachers up and down. And I think that my coach felt sorry for me, because I would have to stop and get my inhaler. I would stop, literally take a squirt of my inhaler and just keep going, because I was determined. So that's what I'm saying is that's what's so important to me, to really get that message out there, is don't be the victim. Like whatever happens in your life, don't be the victim, because it's a choice we make every single day. Do you want to live in that victim mentality, or do you want to be the overcomer? Do you want to change what's happening? And because of that, you're creating your own belief system, right? So if you want to overcome, it's your choice. Are you going to do it? Are you going to make that difference every day of your life? And so that's what I chose to do. And that was really the message. Like, every time that I do a talk or something, I always just, ask Spirit to bring it in. Okay, what's the message that needs to be brought across today? And that was the thing that really came to my mind, because it's so powerful. Don't be the victim. It's a choice.
So let me ask you, as I mentioned, I see a lot of people, and particularly, men and women, but you've got this female perspective that I don't have. What can women in particular do if they're in this situation where maybe they're sick, they're depressed, they have no energy, maybe they're overweight, and they just don't feel like they can dig themselves out of the hole they're in? How do they dig themselves out of that hole? How do they change? What did you go through emotionally that allowed you to pull yourself out of that? And what can women do in particular to dig themselves out of that hole?
That's a great question, Ken. again, it goes back to belief systems. So what I like to really help people with when I'm coaching them is what is your belief system? Like if you look at the statistics of emotions, so emotions, it's really being scientifically proven. It used to be like, oh yeah, that's a bunch of hooey, and emotions have nothing to do with it. But your emotions, actually 90% of that relates to disease. So you can track disease back to that. So disease is dis-ease, right? Dis-ease in your body. And what I like to really help people with, and especially for women, I think that we, as women are the nurturers, right? Men are the providers, and this is just from not that women aren't providers now. I'm just saying it's in our DNA. That's how we were created, was the men were the protectors and the providers, and the women are the nurturers. The women are the one who take care of the children, take care of the husbands, take care of the families, and it's in our DNA. So we all feel like, as women, that we have this big burden to be everything for everybody. And what we have to realize is that first, we have to take care of ourselves. And this is one thing that women don't do, I think, Ken, is they don't take care of themselves first. And when you can actually learn to love yourself, and this was a big lesson for me, and I probably really didn't get this until about 5 years ago, to really get this on, and I'd heard it my whole life. My dad was a preacher, and so I grew up in church, and I grew up with a certain belief system that was instilled in me, but I had to look within myself. Like, what did I believe about myself? Did I believe that I was worthy? Did I believe that I was worth it? Did I believe that I'm supposed to have love and attention too, not just the giver? And for us to learn to receive is not easy as a woman, to receive. So that was probably the biggest lesson that I learned, was really to love myself. And when you can truly love yourself, then you can truly love someone else, because you don't have the capability to do it until you can get that, until you can become your own best friend. I know that sounds probably kind of weird, but really, and that's not just for women, that's for everyone. Like, you've got to learn to become your own best friend. And then when you can do that, when you can encompass that, you can give. But then you also need to learn to receive. And that, I would say that was one of the hardest lessons for me. I went through a divorce, a very painful divorce, 5 years ago. And I was devastated. And I felt like, you've got beautiful tile floors here in your home, Ken. And I felt, and you've seen tile, if you drop a glass on a tile floor, what happens? It breaks. Into a million pieces. It splinters. It's not just it breaks, it just goes in a million pieces. And 2 years later, you'll find another little shard of glass somewhere, right? So that's how I felt like my heart, that's what I felt like happened. And I, as a woman, I was so used to being the giver and taking care of everybody else. And what I had to learn in that time period was to be able to receive. And I had certain people in my arena, certain friends that I had met, that I called them my earth angels, because they actually came in and ministered to me. But I had the choice then, am I going to receive? Well, guess what? I had to, because I didn't have a choice. I was broken. And when I got that, and when I accepted the help from others reaching out to me, that's what made a huge difference in my life and in my health. And I say health, but in the body, mind, spirit, because that's what it all is. And when you can accept that love and start to heal yourself, and then learn to love yourself, then you can be whole and healthy and happy and operate in that joy and operate without depression, without fear, without, feeling like you have to rely on someone else. It causes you to pull on your own inner strength. And I think that's what, I see it day after day because I work with so many people. I work with women every day. I work with men as well. I work with, everyone, but the women, I think, are right now, there seems to be like a really strong divine feminine movement that's coming on the planet. And I think the women are really searching, like, what can I do? What can I do to help myself? Because I am sad. I am depressed. I am overwhelmed because our society is so fast. Everything's so fast and, rushing. But we do need to stop, take a moment and look, what can I do? What can I do to make a difference? And when you can slow down enough to say, you know what, I do need help. And the thing that makes the most difference is to really look at what your core belief system is. What can you do to draw upon that? And another thing, I've been teaching classes on releasing emotional patterns lately. And the response that I've gotten from teaching those classes has been tremendous, from men and women alike, because what we don't understand, okay, we know what we grew up with, like our parents, what our background was like, what with our parents, with siblings, with spouses, with, people that we've interacted with during our lifetime. But what we don't understand, and what I've really learned in teaching these classes, because I've done so much research on it, is that we actually have things that are embedded in our DNA. And I know you love that too, that whole, we've had that conversation before, but it's in our DNA. So not only our own issues, what we've had to deal with since we came onto this earth plane, but things that were passed down from our parents, from our father, from our mother, from our grandparents, from our great-grandparents, from generations back to the beginning of time. Because whenever trauma happens, it's embedded in our DNA at that moment in time.
So how do you shift it?
Well, how you shift it is, first of all, to be conscious of it, right? So that's the first step, is to be conscious. The second step is to really want to do that. Okay, I was thinking this morning, we've all probably seen the movie The Secret. We've all heard about The Secret and the law of attraction. So that all has to do with affirmations. I am magnificent. I am wonderful. I am strong. I am abundant. I am whatever. It's all the I ams, right? But if your belief system doesn't match up with your affirmations, that ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen because it's not aligned, and you have to get that alignment to happen. So there's a couple of good books I really, really love that I would highly recommend for people to read. One is Feelings Buried Alive, Never Die. Oh, yeah. You've read that one. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. And there's another one called The Healing Code, which is fabulous. And there's another book, and I don't know if you've ever read this one, but this is, I read this one when I was probably in my early 20s. And it's by Charles Capps, and it's The Tongue, a Creative Force. And it's really, he was back in the 30s, 40s, 50s teaching this. And also another good one, Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking. So those are some great books I would definitely recommend to go and read. It really helps you with how to switch, how to shift. And what comes out of our mouth, if you start listening and to your self-talk, that's your belief system. And then you can, once you understand what it is, then you can start making that shift. then you can start doing that. There are certain tools that you can use, but one of the things, and I think it was from Feelings Buried Alive Never Died, either that or it's the Healing Code. But in there, so going back to the affirmations, the I ams, you can't go from not believing something to saying I am. So you've got to make that shift. What's easier for your subconscious mind is if you can choose, first of all. So if you choose to change. So you can say, instead of saying I am first, write down I choose to get out of this depression.
Because the unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between positive and negative, you want to frame it rather than I choose not to do this old thing. Instead, it's I choose to do this new thing, this new positive thing. Because the negative doesn't cancel out with the unconscious mind. And so I've done a lot of affirmations. I've done a lot. Because I've had a lot of stuff to clear. And I found an interesting technique too, by the way. Dr. Art Martin taught me this one, and it was really great. Just to write down 21 times for 21 days, whatever it is that your affirmation. And I'm going to tell you, it works. It's amazing how it works. But I'm always very, very cognizant when I write affirmations to form them in the positive and focusing on the positive thing I want to choose, as opposed to I don't want that negative thing anymore.
Exactly right.
It's very important. So you mentioned surrounding yourself with positive, uplifting people who can help support you in what you're doing, and also learning, reading, studying, and becoming consciously aware of what your issues are, but then letting them go and focusing on what you want to change. What other specific things can you do, for example, with your health to get more energy, to improve your mood, those kinds of things? Like I know you're big into food and superfoods and those kinds of things, detoxification. So tell me what your techniques are and specifics of what people can do to shift in that way.
I just want to finish one thing about the choosing, the mindset. So first you choose, and then you can say, I feel. So I choose to be more positive in my life instead of being depressed. And now you can say, I feel. So there's three things. I choose, I feel, and then you can say, I am. Because then it shifts that subconscious mind. That's a shifting that you can do with it. Instead of going from here to I am, so you can step into that. But the other things that I really love to do, and as I mentioned, I'm a certified raw foods chef and instructor, and I was really fortunate to work with some of the best in the industry, and it was so much fun doing the training with them. So it's all about your health. There's so many things. It's body, mind, spirit. So I think absolutely first step, and that's why I talked about the emotions first and the belief systems, because I think until we can shift that, even if we're eating right, even if we're eating healthy, even if we're exercising, even if we're doing all the things that we think are right, which are right, it's not going to totally change until we can shift that belief system. Because if you're stressed, your cortisol levels are high. And if your cortisol levels are high, you're not gonna lose that weight because you're too stressed and you're in fight or flight at every moment in time, right?
What causes those high cortisol levels?
High cortisol levels are, the stresses of life, but I think that, it's okay. That was put into our bodies, innately to protect us. So if there was a tiger in the, chasing us, or a bear chasing us, we could go, and run and get out of the way. But, with today's society, it's so fast and there's so many stressors, and, I have to be at work at this time, and I have, to take my kids to soccer practice, and I have to, be here, be there. Those cause your cortisol levels to just stay up. And financial worries, we all have experienced that. at any given time. And so those things cause our cortisol levels to raise and just stay there. And we need to get to that point. That's why the mental shift is so important, so that you can de-stress, decompose, things that you can do. And also the cortisol levels make your body acidic. And when our bodies are acidic, that's when disease comes in, dis-ease of the body. And the acidity causes that. So we want to do, there's lots of great things we can do. We can, learn to shift that belief system, learn to eat properly. Alkaline foods, of course, I am a big advocate of that. The raw foods are very alkalizing to the body. Any kind of greens that you can get into your body, we don't get enough of that. I used to, right now I'm on the go so much, just like you can, just working nonstop and teaching classes and doing different things. And so I don't have time to juice anymore. I used to juice all the time, make my fresh juices, and I still prepare my foods and take them with me. Everybody who knows me, I carry a little cooler with me everywhere I go. And that's another great thing for people to do, is make and prepare your food. Take it with you so that you're not going through McDonald's. You're not going through, any of the fast food restaurants, and you can be prepared at all times. Now, there's certain things, shortcuts you can do, because if you're on the go, you don't have time to do all those things. I remember David Wolf one time said on a class that I had taken of his, and he's like, you know what? I love juicing, because he's the superfoods guru, but I don't have time to juice, or I don't want to juice because it's messy. So for anyone who doesn't have time, you got to look for options. One thing that I have just started recently, and I shared with you earlier, is that I was introduced to Purium, and those are green superfoods. And so I take my Purium powered drinks every day. They're green drinks. It's great because I don't have to juice every day. I've got my green superfoods in I can just mix with water. I can take it with me on the go. I can do that. And I love that. I'm actually doing healthy happy hours to introduce people to that right now. So I do those at least once a week. And then I also use essential oils. And I love Young Living's essential oils. I've been teaching classes on those for about 4 years now. And those actually alkalize the body as well. So everything is getting back to an alkaline state. You drink clean water. You drink the Ormus water, which is amazing, and we're drinking that today, so thank you. And, if you can get alkaline water, that's going to alkalize your body. If you can get the green superfoods, that's going to alkalize your body. Your mental state's going to alkalize your body. The essential oils actually alkalize your body because you're getting away from chemicals, toxic chemicals. Everything that we put on our skin, that's another thing that I teach in my practice, is that anything you put on your skin is absorbed within 26 seconds. It's in your bloodstream. So if you're putting toxic chemicals, lotions, perfumes, chlorinated showers, that's right. So we need shower filters. Anything like that is getting into your bloodstream in 26 seconds. Anything that you smell is goes up your olfactory nerve into the limbic region of your brain within 3 seconds. And even walking down the grocery store aisle, nowadays if you it's horrible, right? If you go anywhere along the where the air fresheners are, the laundry detergents, and you walk down, you almost have to wear a mask because those chemicals just bombard you. And that's getting up into that limbic region. The limbic region of your brain controls emotions, heart rate, stress, hormones, thought processes, everything it controls. So we have to be so careful and so guarded and keep our body alkaline. So, it's important. So it's what we eat, it's what we drink, it's what we think, and the exercise. We got to get our bodies moving. Our bodies are made to move. And when we were created, of course, way, way, way back, we were, working for our food, hunters and gatherers, right? Now we sit behind desks. We're in our car driving to work. We get to work, we sit behind a desk, and we're there all day. And then we drive home, and then we're in our house, and we're not moving. So we have to take time for that too. You don't have to, it's a choice. But I'm choosing to move my body, choosing to go places to make myself happy and ground. We're fortunate, Ken, because we live in New Smyrna Beach. So we can go down to the beach and ground with Mother Earth energy, which is so amazing. And but I really encourage, that's one of the things that, you know, on my Facebook page too, usually I'll do a post like Happy Fitness Friday or Happy Fun Day Sunday, just to encourage people, hey, stop your busy life, get out there, enjoy, you know, take time, ride your bike, go for a walk. If you don't live close to the beach, if you're not close to the beach, go for a walk in your neighborhood, go do whatever it is that makes you happy. Jump on a rebounder. You got one right over there. And when Dr. Stephen was here, he brought his rebounders, and we had so much fun. Oh my goodness, we played like little kids. We had so much fun. We were jumping. I think we jumped. He brought him over to my house, and I think we jumped for an hour and a half. Wow. We turned on the music. I turned on the disco music. It was so much fun. I'm a disco-holic, you know, from back in the day. I'm dating myself with that, but we jumped on the mini tramps for at least an hour and a half, and it was fun.
Speaking of that, people always ask me this, so I'm going to ask you,
okay.
What do you do? Like, what's your regimen, you know, daily regimen, weekly, you know, what do you do to maintain your health and to look so good?
Well, I like to do different things because I like to mix it up a bit. However, my main focus, I love to go to the gym. Some people go, oh, I have to go to the gym and work out. You know, for me, I love it. Like, I crave it. I want to be pumping iron. Like, I love weights. I do. I just love weights. And for women, it's really important to lift weights because of osteoporosis. And actually men, there's a very high rate of osteoporosis in men now as well. So it's very important to do weight-bearing exercises. And I do love to weight train. And you don't have to be, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger or, you know, pump that heavy iron, but it really is important to lift heavy, like as heavy as you can go. And of course you got to start, if nobody has ever weight trained before, start lighter, work with a personal trainer. And as a personal trainer myself, I know how invaluable that can be. Now, you want to get with the right personal trainer because some of them may not really care about you. So find someone that does. But weight training is really important for the bones and also for mental clarity. It really helps with that. Also, I love to ride my bike. Love to go out and ride my bike. I'll go ride my bike. I live about 10 minutes from the beach, so I will hop on my bike and go ride over, go across the bridge, and just go for like, you know, 10, 15 mile bike ride on the weekends. It's fabulous. Clears your head. You're out in nature. Because if you're in the gym, you know, basically you're inside still. And I really think it's important to get outside to get the fresh air, to, you know, just get some sunshine, get that vitamin D from the sun. Another thing I love to do is jump on the mini tramp. You know, I have one at home as well. And after jumping on Stevens, I know that I need to like update my rebounder because mine wasn't so good, but I love to do that. And even just go for a walk, you know. So I like to do different things because it gets boring to do the same thing day after day after day. So just so that I can get out and move. And I think that's the most important thing because not everyone's going to be able to afford a gym membership. Not everyone's going to be able to, maybe not everyone has a bicycle or a place they can ride it. But just move, you know, just to get moving.
What kind of foods do you eat? What kind of water do you drink? What do you take, supplements, superfoods, that kind of stuff?
I think it's really important, like I said, to keep your body alkaline. So for me, I eat a lot of superfoods. You know, superfoods are, if someone doesn't know what that is, superfoods are you can only consume so many calories in a day. And the superfoods give you the most bang for the buck. Let's put it that way. So I drink, like I said, now I've started with those Purium shakes, and they have made a huge difference for me energetically. I feel like my body's more hydrated. I have a lot more energy because it's consistent. I'm consistent with it. But every day I eat, I want to make sure that what I'm putting in my body is alkalizing. So I'm getting as many fruits and vegetables as I possibly can. I stay mostly plant-based, If I eat any kind of meat, I'll have grass-fed beef, or I'll have, free-range chicken with no antibiotics. But mostly I stay plant-based. I was vegan for a long, long time and kind of did a little bit of a switch, but I go back and forth. It just depends on what, and I just kind of intuitively listen to what my body's wanting in the moment. But it's really important to know that animal products are acidic. So if somebody's eating that just all the time, their body's going to be more acidic. So you want to stay alkaline with your foods. Also with water, I have a Kangen water machine myself. I don't have the Ormus one, but I would like to learn that from you. And but I have a Kangen water machine, which is alkaline water. And that's the water I drink every day. I take it with me. I carry it in my container in my cooler. And I try to exercise, at least get 30 minutes in a day, if possible. Some days I can't. Some days I leave my house at 8:15 in the morning to go to work, and I'll have work all day and then teach a class that night, and I won't get home until 10 o'clock. So I'm like on the go. But the minute that I have time, I'll stop, and definitely I make that time, carve it out to exercise.
Also, what foods do you avoid? Because that's as important as, what food you eat is, not eat. I'm assuming you're not eating GMO fast food for one thing. So what kinds of things do you avoid?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yes, you want to avoid GMOs as much as you possibly can. Buy organic as much as you possibly can. It's really cool right now because there's so many farmers markets and places that you can go and buy organic. Even Costco and BJ's and Sam's, they have organic products now. And so, the cost factor isn't quite as great as it used to be. But talk to your local farmers markets, go to them, talk to the farmers there, and they'll tell you what they're using. And they may not be certified organic, but their practices may be. So they may be cultivating their soil. They may be not be using chemicals. They may be, having all these things into practice. And that's certainly way better than to buy the genetically modified products, which we know can be very damaging. And also, you don't want to go to the. This is kind of a fun saying that I like to use. When you go into the grocery store and you shop the perimeter on the outside, that's where you're getting the most. That's where your produce is, on the perimeters, right? You go down the aisles and it's boxes and cans and all the crap. I say crap. Right? Chemicals, refined anything. Refined, if you look at white rice, that's refined. White table salt is refined. White flour is refined. Stay away from that. Additives and preservatives, processed foods. So anything in a box, most things, if you go into the grocery store and you look at the boxes and you turn that box over, and you're looking at those ingredients, you can't pronounce those. You're like, what? And there's like 50 things on there and you can't pronounce any of them. Guess what? That's crap. And stay away from it. And what this saying I like to use is, if you can't read it, please don't eat it. Because it's going to be synthetically made in a lab, pretty much. If it says natural flavors, artificial flavors, what is that? Could be MSG, could be, who knows what it is. Stay away from it. So basically you want to stick with your whole foods. If it's an apple, an organic apple, that's a whole food. right? If it's a pineapple or a broccoli or whatever it is, that's a whole food. So you stick with your whole foods and you're good. You'll stay away from the processed foods. The drive-thrus, don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't go there. It's going to make you sick and unhappy and unhealthy. Messes up your brain. And it makes you old. It ages you, you know, and collectively, and I just want to say one more thing too, because it's hard for me to say one more thing, right? Because I could go forever. But I met a friend out for dinner the other night, and we wanted to be outside. So we met at the outside bar. We thought, well, we'll just eat out there. And there was a girl she was probably in her 30s. And I swear she looked older than me, you know, and I'm in my 50s. And she was just chain smoking, one after the other. And I'm thinking, oh, Lord have mercy. Honey, do you know how bad you're going to look when you're 50? You know, do you know how bad how sick your body's going to be by the time you're 50? You keep doing that. But it brought it to my consciousness, because I don't even think about cigarettes. It's not in my consciousness, but it brought it to my attention. Like, wow, how many people are doing this every single day? Talk about being depressed. Talk about being sick, unhealthy, unhappy. Of course you are. Look what you're doing to your body. Hello. You know? So, and those are all negative energies, you know, those frequency, that you're killing the frequency of your body.
Any final advice for people to, particularly folks out there who are looking at this and maybe they don't have energy, they don't feel good, they're unhappy, overweight, whatever. What advice do you have for them to get started, to begin that process of pulling themselves out of that?
Another good question, Kenrilla. I love hanging out with you, by the way. It's way too much fun. I think the biggest thing is to make the choice. Because until you choose and decide that, then it's not going to happen. And don't be afraid to do it, because fear, and I don't know if you've ever heard Pastor Joel Osteen. I love him. Love him. He's so cool. And one of the things that he says fear stands for is false evidence appearing real. And so whenever you get into fear, what happens? You freeze up, because fear paralyzes. So fear stops you from moving forward. So break out of that fear. Choose to make a difference. Choose to make a choice. Just say right now, today I choose, it goes back to what we talked about earlier, I choose to make a change. And then I feel I can make a change. I am making the change. I am doing this. So it's all just kind of getting out of our own way. You know, that's the only thing that stops us is us. We're the only ones that stop ourselves. Nobody else is stopping us. It's us. It's a choice. So I would really, really encourage you to just make the choice, step out of the fear, and find someone who can assist you. Because you don't want to do this journey alone. We really can't do it alone. We really need a team of people to help us. And when I talked about the earth angels before, you know, allow those people in your life that are coming in to help you, allow them to do that. Receive that. And you know what? Then you're going to make a difference in somebody else's life down the road. And this is one of the favorite things that I love to talk about, is the ripple effect. Because once you choose to make that decision, once you choose to change your life, then you're going to start sharing with other people. And it's like if you're standing by a pond and it's very still and quiet, and then you throw that stone into the middle of the pond and you see that ripple, it starts and it goes out into the whole pond. So it starts that ripple effect. So that's what happens, is that if once you make the choice, because don't keep it to yourself. Share with others. Share, because you know what? If you don't share with others, you're not only doing yourself a disservice, you're doing other people a disservice. And that's why I know that I love to get out and teach, because if I don't teach, if I'm not sharing with somebody and maybe nobody else is sharing with them, that person doesn't know. And so create that ripple effect. You know, start with yourself. Start with loving yourself. We talked about. Make that choice. Love yourself. Reach out to others and share. Does that make sense?
That reminds me of something else. When you've got family surrounding you who maybe have self-destructive behaviors or who are not interested in eating healthy and those kinds of things, how do you make this transition when you're surrounded by, let's say, negative influences?
Another very good question. We always have lots of naysayers. They're always going to be, no matter what it is you try to do, there are going to be the naysayers. Just know that, you know, again, by you making that choice, it's going to affect them, although they might be saying, oh, what you're doing is stupid. What you're doing doesn't make any sense. What you're doing is ridiculous. You know, you're not going to make a difference. Just ignore them. Be the observer. This is one thing that I love to teach too when I'm health coaching, is really just, if you can step out of your own way and not take that personal, and step away from the emotional component of it and be the observer. Almost as if you're a fly on the wall watching. If you can separate that emotion from it and just say, you know what, I'm strong, I can do this, no matter what anybody else says. Are they gonna change my life? No. Well, I'm gonna change my life. So, yeah, it's not easy. Is it easy? No, heck no. It isn't easy. But you do it anyway, because it's your body, it's your health, it's your well-being that you're looking out for, because nobody else is going to look out for you. It's going to be you. So just step back and go, that's interesting that they feel that way. You know, if you can, it really works. And it takes practice. It's not something you can do overnight, but just kind of start doing that. Like, just be the observer. Pretend like there's a glass wall between you, like a two-way mirror. You know, like in a police station, there's the two-way mirrors. Kind of pretend like, wow, that's interesting that they feel that way. And it releases guilt. It releases emotion from it. It releases having to feel responsible for that person. Because guess what? They're on their own journey. They can make their own choices. But you got to make the choice for you.
You know, it reminds me when I first went down my path toward health, and my wife, who's Chinese, you know, I'm eating 100% live food, and the Chinese don't eat anything uncooked, pretty much. And I say that, of course, I mean, nowadays they do eat more live food, but the way she was raised, they stir-fried, they cooked everything. As a matter of fact, when I was in Taiwan eating big salads, people thought I was being unhealthy, because they thought, you know, well, if you don't cook it and kill the bacteria on it, you could get sick from it, you know. But what I found when I was transitioning, and I'm surrounded by people who were eating unhealthy, and my wife didn't want to do this stuff. And, you know, at first I tried to drag her kicking and screaming through what I was doing, and she wouldn't do it. And so I finally gave up and just did my own thing. And what I found was, when my health surpassed hers, which had never been the case, she took note, and then she wanted some of it. And I think that's another good way to shift the people around you, is simply by being such a shining example. If this stuff works and you feel good and you've got energy and you're in a good mood and you're happy, you're going to relate to them differently, and they're going to want some of what you got. That's right. So you don't have to twist anybody's arm. That's right. You know, you just be the best you can be, and when you get your act together, the folks around you will notice, and they'll want some of it. That's right. You know, so that's one thing that I've seen. Well, we could talk all day, you know, we could talk all night, and we probably will. We'll definitely have you back and talk about other things. But since your website is in transition right now, we will post a link to Debra's Facebook page and her website on this video. So by the time it's released, there'll be a link to her Facebook page and website. But at any rate, I wanted to thank you very much for speaking with us. And have you got any final closing thoughts?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on your program today. And it was so much fun. And yeah, final thoughts. Just as I started when we talked in the beginning of the show, don't be the victim. You know, that was really the message that I got very clearly today, was don't be the victim, because we could all choose to be in that space, but be the overcomer. Make a difference in your own life, because it's up to you to make that difference, and be encouraged by others, and watch those people, look for those people, like you said, those people that do look good and they do look radiant and they do look shining, and look at what they're doing. And because you are a radiant, shining being as well. We all have a powerful message to bring forth into the world, and we all have a difference that we can make in the world, but it's up to you to do that, to choose to do that if you want. And I just encourage you to do that, because you can. Each and every person can be exactly what they want to be, and it's just a choice.
Well, thanks so much, and we'll have you back some other time. And until then, thank you everybody for watching.